Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It is January 27th, 2018. It's about 10:50 in the morning on Saturday. I'm going to show you some features of HGSI. These are, if you look over here at the right, you can see that these files are from my webinar series, which I'm currently doing. And I want to show you how I have set these files up. Now, these files are only available right now for webinar participants, and eventually, well, in the very near future, I'm going to release them to all the Insider Club members. And the advantage of these files set up the way they are is that you can really do some powerful top-down prospecting. And it also shows the flexibility of HGSI. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into Choose Group. I'm going down to my Woodward and Brown user groups. These are user groups that I put together many years ago, and this is where the top-down process begins. And I am going to my top-down process views. I'll click on the top-down analysis Major Markets Plus. The Major Markets Plus are the Major Markets plus a few ETFs, just to give me a snapshot of what's happening in the market. Now, I am sorted on Raw Combo, which is based upon the VPA trend combo, and the strongest trends, the best fit trends in HGSI will go to the top of the list. Now, to differentiate them, I use a secondary sort, and that secondary sort is a percentage price either 1 day or 5 days, and I'm going to use 1 day today. So you can see that the NASDAQ 100 and the trends, they're all up, and it's in a fan uptrend also, which means that the levels are stacked, or the moving averages are stacked as they should be, with the 18, the 50, the 100, the 200-day exponential moving averages being in the correct order. So, as we all know, it's a very strong market. By the way, these VPA flags are meaningless because there's no volume with the IUXX or the NASDAQ 100. So don't pay any attention to that. What we can look at is the trend, and we can also look at the fan in this instance. But that's where the movement was on Friday, up 1.5% on the NASDAQ 100, followed by the oil fund. Oil prices are hitting new highs, multi-year highs. Here's the NASDAQ composite. It was just a very strong day. So I look at this, I get a feel for what happened. I also look down at the bottom and see where the weakness was, and the dollar continues to fall. The 20-year bonds with TLT is also weak, but the dollar, as you can see, has been in a major downtrend, which attracts money to our stock market too. Money flows in from overseas. Okay, so I'll move on down to the next view. These are the ETFs, and I use a different view. I use scorecard end of day for the ETFs because I want to get the volume column in here. I look at range. I look at the 50-day moving average volume. If these are green, it's trading above average volume. You can see that the China index, the FXI, is at 100% of its daily range. It was up 2.6%, and it traded over 14 million shares. Very active. These are all ETFs, as you can see. The natural gas fund, the healthcare sector was strong, closed at 98.72% of its daily range, up 2.2%. The tech sector, here we are down at the other end with the bonds and the dollar. Utilities have been weak. They tried to make a little move up this week, but well, they're holding. You can see that the utility ETF is basing. There's several VPA flags here, and there is some money flowing in here to stem the tide. I'm going to move on down to the next one, Spider ETF sectors. I'm not going to go through all this. You get the idea, but everything is in an order where the trends are strong and then I am seeing the percentage price change. All these are identical over here with up, 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 and then yes. So how do you differentiate them? You do the secondary sort with the percentage price change one day, and they fall into order, and then this is how I can get an immediate feel for the strength or weakness. Now I'm going to go into my broad market indices, and then I'll move down to number 3. This is top-down analysis of VPA scorecard HGSI indexes. And once again, I'll move this out of the way. You can see that all these indexes are up, with the exception of the transportation and the utilities. There's some weakness down here. But from this point on, these are all identical. That is why you have to use a secondary sort, which sorts on this column to see where the real strength was on Friday. You can see that the SOX is at the top of the list. If I change, right mouse click, and go down to this level, you're going to see the stocks within the semiconductor index that were up the most for the day. And once again, the trends are over here. Now this one right here, AMD, came to the top of the list, even though the fan is not up yet, because this is what my combo is sorting on, these 3 best fit trends right here. And then with the percentage price change intraday, we have the stocks in descending order. So that's just the top group. I'm not going to go through all of these. I'll do a quick top down on the NASDAQ 100, and you can see where the strength was on Saturday. I'm sorry, on Friday. This is Saturday. Okay, so that's top down. Now, let's go to the industry groups. And I'm going to go to this view right here, my number 2 folder, for those of you who are taking the webinar. And you can see that this is the semiconductor devices is on top, and here my combo is just the percentage price change one day. So this confirms what I'm seeing in the top down from the major markets, and then e-discretionary, large pharma, insurance, and so on. Remember the top 3 here: semiconductor, e-commerce, discretionary, and large pharma, because what I like to do next, or the way I have these arranged, is I'll go down to folder number 3. These are stocks that are in groups that are up for the day, or the stocks are up from the day, but they're also in the groups. So semiconductors, e-commerce, large pharma. If I move up to all securities, click on this, you can see that the top group of stocks is semiconductors, the second group is e-commerce, third group is large pharma. So these stocks are all coming up the same order as the groups. Now this is a powerful way to do top-down analysis, because we are looking at the stocks that moved up for the day that were in the groups that moved up for the day. Now this is something that can be done with intraday also if you're using Thinkorswim, and you're getting this information nearly in real time. So here's the sort. Sort's the same, but it's sorted on raw combo rank rather than, it's raw combo rank, but the combo's different, because the combo rank is the industry percentage price change one day, rather than those trends that I showed you at the beginning of the video when I'm looking at the broader markets and the ETF. So this is the one-day move, and then this view reflects stocks that were up. Now I didn't go to the groups that were down, but these are the stocks in groups that were down for the day. Now recreational vehicles, they're getting hit pretty hard. You can see that let's see, Thor was down 10%, Winnebago down 14.9%, So it wasn't just a stock, it was several stocks. The groups have been weak. Let me go back up to this and let's check this out. There are 2,047 securities in stocks that were up, in groups that were up, and there are 1,219 in stocks that were down, in groups that were down. So you get a quick read on the market. Like I said, you can do this intraday also to get a feel for what's going on. Now I'm going to go back up to the industry groups, and I'm going to go down to folder number 4. This is bullish fan long-term uptrend. I have 101 groups that are in long-term uptrend. In other words, the moving averages are stacked, the 18, the 50, the 100, and the 200. And long-term bearish, there's only 4 indexes that are down. Now, if I want to move down, or if I do move down here to number 5, these are bullish VPA flags the last 3 days, HGSI indexes and stocks. So you can use these views to apply to industries to see when you're getting a VPA signal. E-commerce discretionary, I'll move this out of the way. You can see the VPOC was up, well, it turned positive, I should say, 18 days ago. 0 is always a crossover day, but yesterday there was an effort to rise, and if I bring the chart up, you will see that effort to rise. And here was an effort to rise 4 days ago. So the indexes can be used, or you can screen on the indexes for VPA flags, pocket pivots, a variety of things. Now this is something that a lot of people probably don't even know about. If you go to indicator reports and select volume price analysis VPA, I just overwrite my original HTML view. What it does is it goes through that chart and it tells you what the VPA flags were and the date they occurred. And you can see that they're back in October it was pretty weak in here, but then we started seeing some yellow and some green as this group took off. Now you can use this on stocks also. So I know that e-commerce discretionary had 14 advancers and 4 decliners yesterday. If I change to the industry group, this is going to show me the stocks in that index, and only these stocks. They have to have had a VPA flag the last 3 days. And if I move this out of the way, you can see that they all had a VPA flag yesterday, an effort to rise. BABA is out to a new all-time high. Let's just bring BABA up here. And you can see that it moved up nicely. Once again, if I go to this indicator report, click on that, overwrite the HTML file, it's going to tell me the history of all the VPA flags in BABA. And I usually just look at the more recent ones. But look at these. Every one of these flags were bullish. Stopping volume going back to December 14th. No supply, strength seen returning. Up bar, no supply. Effort to rise. Transfer of ownership could be positive or negative, but let's just go back to this 1214, which would be clear back here. That's 1214 stopping volume. It bounced around, but it was getting some support in here. And look at all these VPA flags before it really took off. The range was relatively narrow here, so traders were accumulating for the most part, and then the stock took off. Notice how it follows the group. So this is an excellent way to do top-down prospecting. This is the VPOC up and down 10 period 10 bucket. I can do this with indexes, or I can do it with the stocks in those indexes. Let's go into the department store index. And here is the days since the VPOC crossover. Several of them happened on Friday. You can see right down here on the green area, Macy's, Department Store Index, Nordstrom, it's pulled back. It's got a VPA flag and the VPOC is turning positive, but you can whip through these very quickly and you can find a lot of candidates. Now the next one down is VPA flags bullish and bearish. On the indexes, I'm sorry, I think I am duplicating some of these. Pocket pivots, bullish VPA signals today, 5-day pocket pivot, computer hardware and storage, large pharma, internet media, and so on. Just a variety of ways that you can prospect, and then you can go down to the industry groups, and I'm looking for stocks with 5-day pocket pivots, and these are the stocks which have a, let me go to a different chart. Right here, this has pocket pivots, and there's the pocket pivot. This will show whenever there is either a 5 or a 10-day pocket pivot. HPQ is setting up. There's an effort to rise in a pocket pivot. Look at that back here, all of these pocket pivots as it took off. No VPA flags until it got here. So you can use a variety of tools to screen. This is why I'm putting all of these views in here, just to give you a choice of screening. Anyway, that's it for today. I just want to show you what I've been working on, what I'm sharing with webinar attendees, and this is some extremely powerful methodology for top-down prospecting. I know I went pretty quickly. I just wanted to give you an overview. Thank you for listening.